Hi, thank you for joining me today for Bin 3 Hot Mom's Dinner Club. We're going to start this week's meals out with chicken and white bean chili. That's going to be served with cheese quesadillas, one of my favorite pairings, chili and quesadillas together. Next, we're going to move into grilled chicken and bacon club paninis. The sandwiches are going to be served with a quick chilled pasta salad. We're also going to be making a rustic Polish sausage, sauerkraut, and potato bake. This is going to be served with country bread, tomato slices, and cottage cheese. And we're going to finish it all up with fish fillets, French fries, and homemade tartar sauce. All right, so let's get going. So now we're going to make our chicken and white bean chili. The first thing we're going to do is start sauteing our vegetables. I've got a pan here, it's getting hot. I'm going to add some oil in it. I'm going to start sauteing the onion and the celery. I've already got my onion and my celery cut up. I had this from leftover from last week's bins. Half of a white onion and 2 to 3 ribs of celery depending on the size. But like I said, I had that left over from last week. So if you have stuff left over, make sure that you're paying attention to that. You also should have tortillas left over from last week. Got to grab one of my trusty old wooden spoons. I'm going to season this up with some salt and pepper and cumin. Make sure that when you're prepping this, you're saving your onions and your celery and your garlic. Also, the next meal too, the Rustic Polish Sausage Bake. Save your scraps, okay? Add that in your stock. Just hold them in your freezer until you're ready to make stock with them, okay? So while my onion and celery was sauteing, I cut up my green pepper. I'm just going to add in that now. I've also prepped the garlic and the cilantro for this. You don't have to use the fresh garlic and cilantro. If you happen to have dried garlic, you can go ahead and add that in. But if you want to take the time to peel and prep your garlic and your cilantro, it'll make a big taste difference in this. I love Southwestern food with garlic and cilantro in it. It's not about the money, it's about the time. And believe me, we can all use more of that, right? Now I have my chicken that I cut up here. I'm going to add that in. I'm also going to continue to season it up with the salt and the pepper and the cumin. All right, so we got our saute going on here. While that's working, I'm just going to get ready with the rest of my ingredients. All right, so now we're going to make our roux. We're just going to add a couple tablespoons of butter. We'll let that melt down here a bit. Then we're going to add in our flour. I always add a roux to white chili. It just helps tighten it up a bit. I know you don't add it to a lot of the traditional red chilies, but for my white bean and chicken chilies, I always add in roux. Just helps tighten it up. Plus, you never know how much body your cheese is actually going to add in here. So you always want a little bit of that. And then I've got 2 cans of chicken broth I'm going to add in. This is going to make a good amount of chili. But my family loves chili, so I can't go wrong by having too much chili. Just gonna let that flour cook out there a bit, and then I'll start adding the rest of my ingredients in. I've got our can of diced green chilies. I've got the cannellini beans strained here, rinsed and strained. And then there was no canned white cheese sauce, so I've got a queso blanco chip dip for this, just because the store happened to be out of the canned white cheese. And then I've got our half and half. We'll just add that all in, let it simmer for a bit, and we'll readjust the seasoning later if we need to. And then we're going to add our cilantro in at the very end after it's simmered, right before we're going to serve it. We'll add in our fresh chopped cilantro if you're opting to do that one. As I mentioned, you should have tortillas left over from last week's bin. However, we bought a large one because we were making the wraps with them. So if you want to, if you need to, cut these down to fit into your saute pan. I'll just show you a quick trick there. A quick trick there is just put the bowl on top, cut around the edges. These should come off just perfectly like that. Also, if you want to, you can come back and chop these up, deep fry them, sprinkle them with some cinnamon and sugar, and you have dessert also for this meal. Okay, so when your chili is close to done, you can start cooking off your quesadillas. You could add butter or oil, either one, to this. And then what I like to do is just get it nice and hot. Just kind of put them all in there, just one side. And put oil to oil. And then when you get to the last one, ready to start cheesing that one. You can do however many of these you think your family wants to eat. Then I'm going to put my oil side up now. And I'm going to brown it on this side till my cheese starts to melt. And then I'm going to flip it over. All right, and then when they brown as much to your liking, just going to pop them off. Just cut them up. You cut them in as many pieces as you want. Because of this size, I think I'll do 6. There you have your quesadillas. Our chili's just about done simmering, so I'm going to add in our cilantro, and this meal is ready to go. All right, so there is meal 1. That's our chicken and white bean chili. It's served with cheese quesadillas. I had some avocado, so I just threw that on and garnished everything with cilantro sprigs. And I got a little shred cheddar cheese on that chili. Meal 1, chicken and white bean chili with cheese quesadillas. Hi, so now we're working on meal 3. This is going to be our grilled chicken and bacon paninis, and it's going to be served with a quick chilled pasta salad. Just buy any box kit that looks good to you and just prepare it according to the package directions. Now while our pasta salad's cooking, I'm just going to whittle on our chicken breast a little bit because we're making these nice thin panini sandwiches. I don't want the chicken to be so thick on them, so I'm just basically going to cut them down into smaller sections. Then I'm going to get these chicken cooked off, and I'm going to start showing you how to cook off the bacon too. A very simple, easy way to cook bacon. So I've got my pasta salad done. I'm just going to get that into a container. I'm going to get it in the fridge to chill while I'm making my paninis. All right, so for our panini sandwiches, first thing I want to do is I want to get all that chicken cooking. I got a really hot skillet here. I'm just going to get all of this browned off. While that's browning, I'm going to show you a quick way to make bacon. So you're going to need 2 pieces of bacon per panini. I just take parchment paper, lay it out on a sheet pan, just spread out your bacon. It's okay if they overlap a little bit. I use a thick cut bacon. I'm just going to put this in the oven and I'm going to bake it off. What I like about baking it on the parchment paper is that you don't have such a mess to clean up your pan when you're done. Also, you don't have to babysit it while it's cooking. It'll just cook nice and flat here. You can turn it over about halfway through the cooking time if you would like. All right, so I've got everything here to make my panini sandwiches. I got the loaf of bread, $1 for the whole loaf. We're gonna use the ends. You can go ahead and use the ends like this for your rustic Polish sausage bake. Now I'm just gonna, on the slices of bread, I'm just buttering them, putting them butter side down. I'm just making 3 sandwiches. I've just got a family of 3. All right. Next, I'm going to put Dijon mayonnaise on the sandwiches. Just a little bit of that. Just basically Dijon, mustard, and mayonnaise mixed together. And one without. We have a 4-year-old. Gonna sprinkle some cheese on there. Start loading up our chicken and our bacon. All right, so now I've got my paninis done. I just put this bacon press on there. I'm just gonna move it around throughout the cooking time. That's gonna press our sandwiches down since, not all of us can afford a $1,000 panini press. If you don't have a bacon press, you can just put another sheet pan on top and put something like a cast iron skillet, something that's oven safe. Just put it directly on top and let it bake. All right, so our paninis are 3/4 of the way through their cooking time. So we're just gonna flip those over and we're gonna pop them back in just for a couple more minutes. All right, so our paninis just came out of the oven. We've got our chilled pasta salad here. I put some cucumber slices, some baby carrots on there. Just gonna put one of our panini sandwiches right here. And that is done. Delicious. So now we're gonna get started on meal 3. This is our rustic Polish sausage, sauerkraut, and potato bake. So the first thing I did, I large diced our red onion and our celery here. Like I mentioned, we want a real rustic feel to this dish. So I've got these rather large. I'm gonna start dicing my potato. Now, because this potato is gonna go in raw, I don't wanna cut the potatoes too big because I want them to bake in the amount of time that we're baking this casserole, and I don't want our vegetables to turn to mush by the time our potatoes get cooked. Also, I've got the garlic here because I purchased the garlic to make the chili, so I had it in the fridge anyway, so I went ahead and chopped some garlic too. But again, that's gonna be optional. So I'm gonna just cut these up. Again, I didn't peel them. Why peel them? Just make sure you wash them up real good, okay? I've got a skillet getting hot. I'm gonna get these potatoes cut and I'm gonna start sauteing off my vegetables. Okay, so we've got our onion and our celery here softening up real nicely. We're gonna season that up with salt and pepper, poultry season, and Italian seasoning. Now we're gonna make our roux. We're gonna add in our butter here. Get that melting. Add in our flour. Once you get your butter, flour incorporated in here, we're going to pour in the chicken broth. That's gonna kind of deglaze the pan and get all your good bits from the bottom, scrape it up and get it all incorporated in here. I'm just going to do a half can of the sauerkraut. We're going to use the other half can a couple bins from now. So you're going to just pop it in the freezer, just pop it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer. And we're going to have that for a couple bins down from now. We're going to be making Reuben sandwiches. So I'll have the sauerkraut. I'm going to add in our half and half. All right, so this is coming up to a boil. So we're going to add in our sausage here. Remember, I mentioned that I wanted it to be rustic. So I did big pieces on this. And also, you know what? I think instead of switching this to a casserole dish, I think I'm just going to bake this right in here. I'm really digging this look of this rustic skillet look here. If you need to change yours to a casserole, go ahead and do it at this time and then pop it back in there. You want to taste your juice too, just to make sure it's properly seasoned before you bake it. We're going to bake it for about 45 minutes and we're going to bring it out and we're going to taste the potatoes and the carrots. That's what we want to make sure is getting done. The rest of it will be fine. You want to make sure you taste the potato and a carrot. And when they're getting close to done, you're going to pull it back out. You're going to top it with the cheddar cheese and the breadcrumbs. You're going to put it back in to toast then at that time. All right, so while our rustic Polish sausage bake is working, I went ahead and cut up the bread. Remember, we had this piece left over from our panini sandwiches. And we can definitely use this in here if you want. If you don't want to use it, put these pieces in the freezer. Just like we're saving all the scraps of vegetables for our stock, we can also make a stockpile of bread bits in the freezer. You can pull these frozen pieces that you've been stashing out and use them to make homemade breadcrumbs. For instance, in the next bin, we're going to be making meatloaf. So we're going to pull out our stockpile. So anytime you have loaves of bread and you are not using the hills, go ahead and throw those in the freezer in your stockpile of bread, okay? We're going to pop that into the oven. So our rustic Polish sausage bake is almost ready. So I'm going to get the tomato sliced up for the tomato and cottage cheese. When you kind of get down to the end, I'll show you can turn it on its side and keep slicing them. Next, I'm going to sprinkle this with a little bit of kosher salt and ground white pepper. I always use kosher salt and ground white pepper. The ground white pepper just kind of seems to dissolve a little bit better. It's not as coarse as your black pepper. Also, you don't see those black specks so much on the food. And on the kosher salt, I like that because the granules are so much bigger than your iodized salt. You don't run the risk of over salting. We're just going to put some dollops of cottage cheese on top of that. This is our rustic Polish sausage bake. We've got our country bread here just to soak up all the juices from it. And then our tomato slices with cottage cheese just to have a side dish with this. Rustic Polish sausage, sauerkraut, and potato bake. Meal 3. Now we're going to start on our last meal. It's just fish fillets and French fries, so it's very easy. So the first thing you want to do is just get your fish fillets baking, and you can buy any type of fish fillets that you'd want and get those baking. Then we're just going to whip up a little homemade tartar sauce. We're going to do this because we have all the ingredients in our pantry to make tartar sauce, and that's one less item that we have to stock in our refrigerator. So I just put some mayonnaise there. A little bit of Dijon mustard. Put in about a tablespoon of the red wine vinegar. And some pickle relish. We'll just mix all together and we'll have our tartar sauce. We'll get our French fries cooking in the deep fryer. So I finished up the homemade tartar sauce. We've got our fish fillets in the oven, French fries in the deep fryer. I just made some baby carrots with some ranch dressing to serve as a side dish. Also, if you have any of those tomato slices and cottage cheese left, just go ahead and throw those out as well. Meal 4, fish fillets, French fries, homemade tartar sauce, baby carrots, and ranch dressing. So hey, thanks for joining me this evening, Hot Mom's Dinner Club. This is Ben 3. So we started with our chicken and white bean chili. We've got a big old pot of it right back there. Plenty of it to go around. And then we're going to serve that chili with cheese quesadillas garnished with avocado slices, cheddar cheese, and cilantro sprigs. Next we have our grilled chicken and bacon club panini sandwiches. And that's served with the chilled pasta salad, cucumber slices, and baby carrots. The grilled chicken paninis. Then we have that rustic and beautiful rustic Polish sausage, sauerkraut, and potato bake. Served with the crusty French bread, tomato slices, and cottage cheese. And then last but not least, fish fillets with French fries. I made some homemade tartar sauce, and then we're going to serve it with any tomato slices and cottage cheese we had left over from the night before. And then also I just do the rest of the baby carrots with some ranch dressing for an additional side with those fish fillets. So I hope you enjoy this deliciousness right here. That is a whole lot of great food. Thank you so much for joining me, Hot Mom's Dinner Club.